welcome to tonight's information night about our 2023 Cooperative Extension Master Gardener Volunteer Training. On behalf of your team of Master Gardeners and Leslie Fillmore, our Master Gardener Program Coordinator, I'd like to welcome you today. My name is Kirsten Conrad, and I'm the Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources for Arlington County and the City of Alexandria. It is my privilege to have been here serving in this position for 16 years. Had a chance to work with very talented, very passionate, very engaged volunteers who have given so selflessly of their time. And I hope that tonight's presentation will help you understand whether you would like to be a volunteer in our program as well. We're going to be talking a little bit about the program and the history of the program, and these are pictures from some of our demonstration gardens, but the program has been in existence here in Arlington County for over 40 years. And during that time, there have been a number of projects that have become crowd favorites for the community. The picture on the left side shows a portion of the Shade Quarry Garden, and the picture on the right shows part of the Glen Carlin Garden, which you're going to hear about in a few minutes. We would like to share with you tonight some of the amazing activities that go on as part of our program. And it is an award-winning program that we are so very, very proud of. For example, in 2016, our Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia President Dorothy Acosta accepted the George Mason Green Patriot Award for the work that the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia do. mgnv.org is the website for the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia. If you are not familiar with that, we hope that you will take advantage of your time while you're considering whether you would like to join our program to find out more about MGNV and the work that they do. The Best Gardening Advice Award was actually given out in 2019 as part of the Best of Arlington. And we all chuckled about that because we were the only gardening advice in Arlington. But the serious awards in Arlington County is the Bill Thomas Environmental Service Award. And in 2022, the Sunny and Shade Garden volunteers received this award. 2019, Elaine Mills received this award, who you're actually going to be hearing from later on tonight. And in 2015, Judy Funderburk received this award also. This is a prestigious award that is given out to volunteers. Tree stewards have gotten this award. Master Naturalists have gotten this award. And Master Gardeners have enjoyed their share of this as well. Again, in another award in Alexandria, an equivalent award in Alexandria is the Ellen Pickering Environmental Award that in 2021 was given to Joyce Hilton, who is one of our most talented and long-running volunteers at our help desk. She's also a talented educator who you will be hearing from as part of the training class. The Agriculture and Natural Resources program that I oversee for Virginia Cooperative Extension consists of several areas, one of which is natural resource conservation at the top there. And you can see that it has a number of different subject areas that we work within. The green industry sector to the right are also sectors that I work with. I work with training the commercial pesticide applicators. I work with nursery and landscape association programs, as well as arboriculture and tree service providers. The environmental horticulture section in the yellow to the left consists of three main program areas: landscape best management practices, urban agriculture, as well as environmental sustainability, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this is the area that Master Gardeners work in. Before we move on, I'd like to also tell you that Virginia Cooperative Extension is the outreach from the state land-grant colleges, which in Virginia are Virginia Tech and Virginia State University. The purpose of Extension, since its inception in the 1890s and 1860s, was to provide the research-based information coming out of the state land-grant colleges to the far-flung regions of an area that these land-grant colleges serve. So, getting back to the environmental horticulture section, this is what Master Gardeners are most involved with. The program in Arlington is going to provide you with an opportunity to work in a number of different areas. Our program here, even though it's called Arlington, is actually serves both Arlington and Alexandria. Our offices are based in Arlington, but we have a very fine cohort of volunteers that serve Alexandria. And we also have volunteers that come from Falls Church, as well as some that come from Fairfax County. So it's an opportunity for many people in our region. Our program deals with food production and nutrition, urban agriculture. We work with community gardeners. We work with food producers. Food production, of course, depends on soil conservation and health. And so that's an important part of the education that we do. The demonstration gardens deal with a lot of the marketing and the value of landscape horticulture and demonstrate how people can improve the value, the curbs appeal perhaps of their homes. But it also talks about the importance of the environmental services that gardens can provide. Youth and horticulture is a big and growing area of volunteerism in our program, and we partner with 4-H. But we also have a number of partnerships with other local organizations that deal with youth education. And you're going to be hearing a little bit more about that a little bit later. Another area, of course, is environmental protection, and the sustainable landscape management concepts that we teach are all about environmental protection. It's about native plant use, it's about managing pesticides, reducing fertilizer use, and so much more. Another big area that is a little bit harder for many people to grasp, but it's basically how we use horticulture to improve the health and quality of life. And community building and horticulture therapy, youth education, environmental service, all of these kind of touch on some of these quality of life issues that we have in our urban areas. And I like to think that Master Gardeners do make a big difference in the quality of life for the people who live here. 2022, I just want you to know what you're getting into here. There were 247 volunteers in 2022 that contributed over 20,000 hours of service to the community. The service consisted of both continuing education as well as hours of work in demonstration gardens, plant clinics, help desks, and so on. But we had 2 training classes last year, and Leslie will talk a little bit more about that as we go on. But the education that we do has changed drastically since the pandemic. We used to do exclusively in-person classes. Now our Friday public education classes are generally conducted online, and the results of that ability to reach so many more people have been astounding. We have had attendance in 2022 of over 3,000 people live on Zoom, so to speak. And of course, those presentations are then recorded and closed captioned and put onto our YouTube channel, on the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia YouTube channel, where they have gotten tens of thousands of more people viewing the work that we do. Plant clinics are in-person services that we take out to the farmers market, at libraries, and other special events. And of course, the demo gardens that we're going to be learning about, we have 7 of them now. And these are really, really great places. And during the pandemic, we heard a lot from people who told us how much they valued having those gardens available to seek some recreation in. Help desk, which we'll talk about also, had over 1,000 contacts, and people know us. We've been around for a while, and it's an important service that we provide. Here's the help desk photos. We have microscopes at the help desk that help us to look very closely at some of the problems that people bring in. Picture on the lower left is of a caterpillar called mustard salad caterpillar that needed an identification. And of course, the picture in the upper right is a basswood leaf miner that burrows around inside the leaf, and you can see where we've taken off the cover. But as far as I'm concerned, the help desk is one of the best things that we do, and we provide direct services to many people who come to us with questions about weeds, plant ID, insect ID, plant disease ID, and so on. So this is a very important part of what we do. We find a lot of new things. If you want to learn more about horticulture and about plant disease, the help desk and the plant clinics are going to be a very important part of your education. You see things there that you don't have an opportunity to see elsewhere. And so I hope that you will embrace the unknown. The Master Garden Demonstration Gardens, the oldest garden is our shade garden that I mentioned earlier. The shade garden and the sunny garden are located in Barnard Park. And of course, our newest garden is the Jerome Buddy Ford Nature Center Garden, which is in Alexandria. The community events that we participate in are also a very big way that we have of connecting with people. The Arlington County Fair in August is a major event for Master Gardeners where we take on both the exhibit for people, a place people can visit us, learn about what we do, but we also have volunteers who oversee the competitive exhibits for flowers and vegetables. The VCE Showcase is an important place that we share what we do with local stakeholders, local government office holders, as well as other community partners. There are lots of events during the year that we interact with the public, and we have many, many partners, some of whom I've listed here, who we do educational events with. The next one coming up is right this weekend. If you're interested, we have the Green Community Tour and Celebration, which is on Sunday, June 4th from 1 to 4. And there are garden tours, and Elaine Mills, who's on this presentation, is one of the hosts for the garden tours. And we will also have a table at the Shirlington Library where the event kicks off on Sunday, June 4th. The reason we do this is to support the local issues that are important, especially at stakeholders like Arlington County government and the city of Alexandria. One of the important areas that we work in is the Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Forestry Natural Resource Master Plan. The Urban Forestry Natural Resources Commission is a body of volunteers that work with staff to oversee the planning and allocation of green space in the county for various uses. We work hard to help support Arlington County in their goals to improve and maintain tree canopy coverage. We do native plant education, lawn alternative education, and we have a wonderful project called Small Trees Make Big Canopies that harvest small weed trees that are native and then grow them into trees and give them away. These are native trees that are in big demand, and they have high survival rate because they are small. Deer overpopulation is a huge concern for all of us. We have had a major project this year to help survey the residents in Arlington about the experiences with deer population. Stormwater management education is coming down the pike, ever so much more so with climate change. And we have a new project with the Arlington County Stormwater team to help educate the public and help them reduce the cost of the taxation that is needed to pay for stormwater improvements. Urban agriculture is another area that we have become very involved with. And of course, it includes things that we've worked on for a long time, like community gardening, fruit and vegetable production, and of course, pest management on vegetables, of course, soil testing and soil fertility management. But it also includes things like stormwater management and water conservation in settings where people are trying to garden. And of course, more and more, we are running out of permeable land to garden on, and we need to look at some of the rooftops, not only for growing space, but also to cut down on the stormwater problems that we're having. Solid waste reduction is an important urban concern everywhere you go, and Master Gardeners have engaged in education, not only to children, but also to adults. One of the ways we do that is by keeping a compost demonstration area out at the Potomac Overlook Organic Vegetable Demonstration Garden. And of course, we also help people understand about soil fertility management, soil testing. The return of compost to the ground is an important concern. Pesticide use reduction, again, is a major concern. It's June, it's pollinator month, isn't it? So we'd like to help people understand how to manage ticks and mosquitoes without pesticide use on the landscape. Spotted lanternfly and crepe myrtle bark scale are two new invasive insects that we are dealing with here. And of course, it's so much fun to see the insects when they come into our help desk for identification. Leslie's going to talk a little bit more about this, but our class training consists of a number of different topics. I teach some of these classes. We have Master Gardeners that teach some of these classes. We have outside instructors that come in from both Arlington and Alexandria and other extension programs to help us to make sure that you are getting the most up-to-date, the most research-based information that we can provide to you on these topics. So we're very pleased with our program. It gets high marks and had a really great time with it. We also do site visits, and this is an old picture of us out at a Master Gardener intern trainees home site where we all met for training. And there's only so far that classroom instruction will go, and that's why the internship that you will do as a volunteer, generally in the second year of your training, gives you a broad range of in-person experience at demonstration gardens, at plant clinics, at help desk, and of course on-site and at schools where you can put your knowledge to work. Being an extension volunteer requires you to do some things, and Leslie's going to talk to you a little bit more about these. And we want you to know that the Virginia Cooperative Extension considers you an unpaid faculty member of Virginia Tech. You are a staff person of Virginia Tech when you become a volunteer. And as such, all approved activities are covered for any kind of charges of liability against you. We provide you with all kinds of support that you would need to be able to do the work that you want to do as a Master Gardener volunteer. And of course, the training that we ask you to keep up with is provided for you not only through the training class, but every year thereafter, we have a continuing education committee that offers in-house as well as external opportunities in our area for continuing education. One important thing is that the title of Extension Master Gardener, while highly coveted and very publicly well known, may not be used by volunteers for advocacy or for personal financial gain. And a part of that means is that you cannot use that title as an advertisement for your work or an advertisement of anyone else's work. For example, a nursery that you might become employed by may not advertise the fact that they have Virginia Cooperative Extension Master Gardeners on staff. You also can't use the title. You can't wear that hat when you're saying to the state that they need to stop selling invasive plants at the garden center. So it's an important distinction that you'll learn more about. So the Master Gardeners in Northern Virginia is also an important partner in this work that we do, and you'll be learning more about this. It is a 501c3 organization that has won prizes. It has an elected board and annual meetings for all members 3 times a year. There's an annual fundraiser which was just completed, and I think that they earned something like $10,000, didn't you? At a plant sale at Green Spring. There's also another fundraiser that takes place in the fall, again, a plant sale that takes place at Glencairn Library Garden. And of course, all this money goes to support the work of Extension Master Gardeners and can be used to provide grants to the State Master Gardener Program, as well as the local extension office. I know that you don't know about this yet, but the benefits of being an extension volunteer are huge. Get garden center discounts. It's a lot of fun. One of the things I love about this is called Hive Mind Benefits, which means that you have a fraternity, a sorority, a collection of like-minded volunteers who you can call on, who are as excited about volunteer work as you are, and as excited about horticulture as you are too. And it's just a really great opportunity to be engaged in making our communities just nicer places to live. Master Gardener College takes place down at Blacksburg, Virginia on an annual basis, and it will be taking place next weekend. And when you are a certified Master Gardener, you can take advantage of this and join us in living in a dorm and having fun learning for 3 days in a row and getting all of your continuing education in one place. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to hand it back over to Leslie now.
I'm Leslie Fillmore. I'm the program coordinator for the Extension Master Gardener program, and a big part of my job is helping to run the training and to help our interns and trainees be successful. I used to often hear Extension Master Gardeners saying they had no idea what they had signed up for when they first joined the training. And so I put together this part of the presentation in order to feel like you guys at least will have a better understanding of what you're signing up for if you decide to apply. First, let's take a look at the phrase Master Gardener Volunteer. A lot of people get very excited by the word master in there. They think I'll take the class, I'll know everything there is to know about gardening. In reality, we find out that most of our trainees thought they knew this much about something that was this big, and instead they learned that there's really this much knowledge to be gained. So there's very few of us that actually probably feel like we've mastered gardening. In fact, continuing education is like a big part of our program. And I'd say if we had a couple people that might have mastered gardening, we actually have Miss Kirsten Conrad on tonight. And Elaine Mills might be another one of those people who could maybe claim that they've gotten close to mastering gardening. So we're very lucky to have them. The second word we're looking at here that you might think is the most important word in this phrase is gardener. Well, of course, this program's all about gardening, right? So I'm going to dig in the dirt, I'm going to plant native shrubs, but you can be a gardener at home, and that doesn't benefit the program or your community. Also, we welcome not just experienced gardeners, but also novice gardeners. So we take people with all ranges of experience, and we also want to know all about your non-gardening skills. We have many needs within our organization, and we need people who are website planners. We need photographers, we need editors, we need financial auditors, we need all sorts of skills. So gardener is not as important as you might think in this phrase, but really what the most important term in this phrase is volunteer. And so that's really what you're signing up to be when you decide to register in this training. You're going to take what you learn in the class and you're going to share it out with your neighbors and our community in Arlington and the city of Alexandria. So that's really the emphasis of our program. So let's talk specifically about our 2023 fall format and class dates. Our format for the fall is to be back to our in-person full day format. The past 3 volunteer trainings we've done, in part due to COVID, we transitioned to a hybrid virtual program, and those worked great, and it kind of expanded our range of volunteers because they worked well for folks who work. But it's been since 2019 since we've been in person, so we're excited to get back in the classroom and really give y'all a chance to get to know each other in the classroom. We've requested Tuesdays at the Fairlinton Community Center. That's our home base. That's where our office is located and our help desk is located. We plan to start classes on September 5th, and we'll go Tuesdays through November 14th. But I do want to point out November 7th is a Tuesday. It's a voting day. And so we will not be able to use Fairlinton that day. We'll move that one particular class period around. Our regular Tuesdays would be a morning session, lunch break, and then an afternoon session. So just like your kids, you're going off to school, you pack your lunch, you eat at school. We will also have probably 2 field trips. And as Kirsten mentioned, one of our very favorite things is our intern home garden visits. It's a wonderful way to get to know your classmates, and it's fun just to go around and see everybody's different gardens. All right, let's talk a little bit about the class workload. It is very important that you attend all the scheduled classes. Sometimes we have people who come in and say, oh, well, I have 3 business trips, but I'll just miss those 3 classes. And then it turns out, they were sick one week, and then an emergency happened one week. And so they really ended up missing too many classes. So we hope that you will come in having cleared your schedule once we confirm that Tuesdays are going to work for us, and plan to attend all your classes. As I was saying, our regular class sessions, we'll have the speaker give a presentation, then we do a question and answer period, and then we have our class business where you get to practice things like a 3-minute presentation to the class that covers a frequently asked question that you're given. So you get a little kind of taste of what public education is like. We also do have homework each week. It's about 4 or 5 hours. I've been told not to underestimate that because it is a significant amount of reading. And I'm excited to tell you that this year we have a new gardener handbook. So it's a big volume, and now I'm very thrilled that it is in color. It just makes looking at plant diagrams so much more interesting because now they're in color instead of black and white. As Kirsten talked about, these are just kind of some of the topics that we'll include. I won't read them all to you, but we usually do start with the basics, botany and soil, and then we move along. I actually could not fit all of our class topics on this slide, so this is only a sampling. So it's pretty extensive. Sometimes people say it's kind of like drinking from the fire hose when you're going through. It really is like going back to school because you're getting classes, you're doing homework, and it's kind of like just a fun rush. Now for our application process. We do have 30 spots in our class this year, which I'm excited about. Last fall, we only had 9. So 30 spots is excellent. We do always get more applications than we have spots. So if we get 60 applications, sadly, there are 30 people that we're going to have to tell we don't have spots for that year. Hopefully it'll be more in the 45 range, which is probably pretty typical. And we do want to let you know, if you don't get selected this year because we just simply don't have enough space, we do highly value resilience in people. So if you were to come back the following year and reapply, then we take that into consideration. If you really want to do it, please stick with it. And we did have people last year that did that, and they're in the program now and very happy that they came back. So our timing for application process, you guys are here tonight, June 1st. This is kind of kicking everything off for us. And I will be sending out the application information on Monday. And then you'll have about 3 weeks to turn in the application materials, which we're going to talk in more detail about here soon. It's really nicer if you don't wait to the 23rd to turn in your application materials. It helps us kind of get a jump on things when they come in earlier. Once we close the application period and review all the applications, then we select candidates for our 30-minute Zoom interviews. And we do that usually like late June to July. And then we hope to let people know by August 4th whether or not they've been accepted for a 5 September start date. So once again, you guys are ahead. Everybody who applies will either need to have attended tonight or will need to watch the recording, which we will post on our website shortly. Okay, there's really 2 major portions of the application. There's an online version, and then there's kind of a hard copy paper version. The first portion is online, and that's in our Better Impact volunteer system. So I'm going to get to that in just a second. Then we'll have paper forms, which include a questionnaire, a volunteer agreement, and a scholarship application, which is optional. So you can either scan, once you fill those things out, you can either scan them and email them to me, or you can drop them off in person at Burlington. I do want to say that we do not want costs to be prohibitive to anybody. So we have partial scholarships available. And this year, our cost is scheduled to be $255. If that is not affordable to you, I highly encourage you to turn in the scholarship application as well. All right, this is our online portion. All of us Master Gardeners are enrolled in the Better Impact volunteer system. That's how we manage our volunteer hours and such forth. So you'll get started in that. When I send out the emails, there'll be a link and you'll enter your contact information. And I do want to point out 2 things in the system that I think are a little bit hard to understand. If there's a little flag past a box, that means that that field is required. If there's a little box with an I in it, you can click on that and that will give you further information. After you enter your contact information, you'll go on to your general availability. That kind of gives us just a general idea of when you might be available. Maybe you work part-time, and so you know that Tuesdays and Thursdays are good for you and the weekends. I do want to make sure you guys understand that's not committing you to those days. That's just giving us a general idea of your availability. So there's no commitment by filling that out. If your schedule changed dramatically, that would be okay. You'll skip the next 2 sections that are in the additional information about you and experience. We do capture that in our questionnaire, which gives you more room to expand. Do go on and fill out the references and the demographic information after that. For the references, I often get questions about like, who do I need to put for references? You can put your coworkers, but it doesn't need to be a professional reference. It can also be like your neighbor. If you know a Master Gardener, I would highly encourage you to list them as a reference. And then you will also go through and agree to a background check. All Master Gardeners need to have a background check before they can volunteer with us. And there's standards of conduct in there as well. So you will read those and decide whether or not to agree on those. All right, this is our questionnaire. We expanded this when I went through the training. It was a 1-page thing and I had to write like in microscopic print in order to try to answer the questions. So we've kind of expanded on it and given you a little more room. So we do want to know about your gardening background, whether you're beginner or experienced. If you have other volunteer experience, we'd like to hear about that. What are you interested in as far as gardening, is going? Do you have a stormwater issue in your backyard? So you're very interested in stormwater. Are you a greenhouse person, et cetera, et cetera. And very importantly for us, we want to know about your non-gardening skills. So as I said, are you a writer? Are you an event planner? Are you a public speaker? Do you speak another language? Those are things that are important to our program. We need all of those skills within our program. I encourage you to do a complete job on it. This is what we use to make our first pass and determine who we're going to go on to interview. I occasionally get questionnaires back that have like just a couple words written on them, and those people usually do not make it to the interview. This is what our volunteer agreement looks like. I don't expect you to read this. You'll read it when you get it in the application. It does talk about things like liability. This is what you're agreeing to do for us if you accept a position in the volunteer training class. So again, we talked about attendance. We want you to complete not just the classes, but also to confirm that you will complete your internship, which is 60 hours, and we'll talk about a little bit now. So it's about 60 hours in the classroom, and then you move on, you graduate from trainee to intern, and you start an internship. And that's another 60 hours. And you have 1 year after the time the classes end in order to complete that 60 hours. So it's composed of 20 hours in our demonstration gardens, 9 hours at our help desk, which I do like people to understand is a weekday commitment. Currently, the help desk only operates on weekdays from 9 until 12. And so that's something that people would need to attend 3 times over the course of a year. If you're somebody who works, agree that you would still come in and do those sessions. Plant clinics are open on the weekends on Wednesday evening. And then there's 21 hours of an intern project. And there's quite a bit of variability in the intern projects, which is about a third of your internship. We've had past years where people have taken on topics and done public education presentations. Recently, several people have developed scavenger hunts for kids at the demonstration gardens. People have improved signage at our gardens. People have learned how to be facilitators for our public ed presentation. That's a role that I help train and is near and dear to my heart, and probably Elaine's too, because she utilizes them very often. We have people who set up presentations for the Arlington County Fair. So there's a lot of variability there. And we give you a list and you get to kind of make a selection. So we're not forcing people into something that they would be unhappy about. Now, once you certify, Extension Master Gardeners complete 20 hours of volunteer time annually and 8 hours of continuing education. Those are our minimum requirements for our volunteers. After you've done a 60-hour internship, the 20-hour optional hours seems great. So most people are very happy at that time. And we do also require that our Extension Master Gardeners take risk management and civil rights training every 3 years. That's something you'll get in the training class, and then every 3 years after that, you'll have to take it again. So when I get to this point, I'm always saying, you're hearing all these like, man, this sounds complex and intensive, and why in the world do I want to be a Master Gardener? So I just want to share with you some of the things that past Master Gardeners have said. And we had a Master Gardener from the class of 2006, and she said, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I stayed when I saw the amazing things this group was doing and because of the wonderful people here. So a lot of us feel that way. One of our 2016 interns was heard to say, after getting involved with this group, I went home and told my husband, I found my people. We love it when we hear things like that. I went through the class in 2015 after waiting several years to fit it into my schedule when my youngest started kindergarten. And one of the things I enjoyed most about the training was getting to know 2 of my classmates that I worked closely with for our intern projects. 2 years after that, I decided to take this job, and I'm still here 6 years later. So that probably tells you what I think about the program. It's a wonderful, wonderful community to be involved with. And I really just can't express how I feel about our volunteers and the skills and dedication they show with our program. So, all right, next, you're going to get to meet a few of those people. And we're going to start off with Elaine Mills. Elaine is a member of the class of 2012, and her primary interest is in sustainable gardening. So she created our first set of fact sheets on the tried and true native plants that are now a popular resource on our website. She's spent more than 13 years photographing native plants in public and private gardens and enjoys selecting pictures from her photo library to illustrate her talks, articles, and weekly educational posts for our Facebook group and Instagram. And she also, in addition to all of that, serves as one of the co-coordinators for our Glen Carlin Community Library Gardens. So if you have joined any of our public education classes on Friday, you will know Elaine is, I kid you not, a rising star amongst the garden educators. So we're super thrilled to have her.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Welcome everyone this evening. As Leslie mentioned, when you are beginning the internship of the program, should you decide to apply, 20 of the 60 hours for certification will be filled by participating in what are referred to as work parties in our demonstration gardens. These will be 2-hour work sessions, and if you complete 10 of those, over the course of your internship, that would total the 20 required hours. Now, the demonstration gardens, as Kirsten and Leslie have mentioned, are located both in Arlington County and in Alexandria. And the purpose of them is to demonstrate best management practices for a wide range of gardening conditions and to show you some examples of plants that do well in our region. I can give you a quick little tour of the gardens. Northernmost of them is the organic vegetable garden that's located in Potomac Overlook Regional Park. This garden will demonstrate practices such as crop rotation, companion planting, cover crops, and composting, all without pesticides or synthetic fertilizers. And we're very excited that they've just been able to renovate that garden with lovely new raised beds. Moving a little further south, there are 2 gardens at Bonnier Park adjacent to the famous Rose Garden there. You'll recognize the Sunny Garden with a lovely arbor that has a native wisteria on it. And in addition to herbaceous plants that grow well in the sun, this garden is now widely expanding, and it has lovely native shrubs and trees. Examples of lawn alternatives are being planned. And in the fall, they're going to be creating a brand new gravel garden. A little bit further down the path into the woods is the Quarry Shade Garden, which is the smallest and oldest of our gardens. It's located in what used to be an old rock quarry. The garden is built into terraced areas. You'll see lovely ferns and wildflowers. And even in the heat of the summer, when those flowers have finished, you'll see lots of evergreen native ground covers. Moving a little bit further south, just south of Route 50, Arlington Boulevard, I'm proud to serve in the Glen Carlin Library Community Garden. This garden is a little different from the others in that it has a quite extensive built infrastructure. We have a patio with lots of container plantings, benches for sitting, and a gazebo. And we have many different garden rooms, a very large herb garden, a tropical garden, an Asian garden. And we also have a large focus on sustainable landscaping, climate conscious gardening, and native plants. At Fairlington Community Center, where your training will be based, there are 2 gardens. The first is the Tribute Bench Garden, a pocket-sized garden right at the edge of Fairlington parking lot that just demonstrates some small urban plantings. And this is built in honor of master gardeners past, present, and future. Then tucked around in the back in a courtyard is the Small Space Garden. This features both edible plantings and native plants for folks who have very limited spaces for gardening, maybe a patio garden or just even a balcony. Then 2 gardens in Alexandria. First is Simpson Garden, the largest of all of our gardens. It has 13 separate garden rooms. Among them, a scented garden, a little shade garden, and right at the very front is a water-wise garden. And finally, Buddy Ford Nature Center now has a partnership between Master Gardeners and Master Naturalists. They're completely renovating what had become an overgrown pollinator garden. So these are lovely spaces to work in, to learn in. And one of my favorite aspects of working in these gardens is the sense of community, the community building. You'll meet not only the garden leaders, but other experienced master gardeners, some of whom just enjoy coming week after week to volunteer. And this would also give you an opportunity to really bond with members of your class. So I hope you'll join us and apply for our program.
All right, thanks so much, Elaine. Next up, we have Anne Reed. And Anne is class of 2017, and she is definitely someone who has wholeheartedly embraced our program right from the start. She's a regular at our help desk, and she has previously served on our MGNV board as a liaison to the demonstration gardens. She's a past teacher, and she still uses those skills in public education, sharing with our youngest community members. In fact, she was just out last night at Arlington Central Library with her partner in crime, Debbie Keefe, teaching kids how to grow salsa gardens in containers. So, Anne, welcome.
Thank you. Well, you've heard some things about the help desk, and so I'm going to go through a few things that you need a little bit of repeat on, and then throw out some things that are just experiences that I have developed from the help desk. What is the Extension Master Gardener Help Desk? Well, as you've heard, it's located at our home base, the VCE office at the Fairlington Community Center, which is located on South Stafford Street in Arlington. It is open 5 days a week. It is open 9 to 12 only, and the volunteers for 3 hours respond to public inquiries on all kinds of gardening issues. What services do we provide? Well, the help desk responds to client emails, also phone calls, and walk-ins. When you have all those three going on at one time, it's like my being back in the classroom as well. You answer concerns about plant identification, insect identification, plant disease, soil health, insect damage, landscaping guidance, support for vegetable and herb gardening, growing outside in containers and growing indoor plants, and on and on and on. We recommend the use of native plantings. That's one of the first things we talk with people about. We also maintain a seed bank, and that has been a real challenge the last couple of years, but when we have seed banks, we offer free seeds to the public. We also have that microscope. In fact, we have two, as you see in the picture, and we use those to identify critters like ticks, or to identify and get closer to the cause of some kind of disease. Who supports our volunteer efforts? Well, of course, our extension agent, Kirsten Conrad, does that. She also expects us to be current on any kind of environmental problems, the current disease issues, and invasive problems in our area. We have to be kind of experts on whatever's going on locally. For example, those things that are mentioned, which is the crepe myrtle bark scale and the spotted lanternfly. Usually 2 extension master gardeners work together at the help desk, but not always. But as an intern, you will be always with another master gardener. We work closely also with Leslie, is the program coordinator, when we start training interns for the Master Gardener program. So what do you need to do to be getting through the help desk requirement? Well, first of all, you have to finish your classroom expectations and pass the exam. Then you begin your internship requirement, and as mentioned earlier, 9 hours of successful training is required. One of the strengths of this training is how much it develops your own critical thinking skills through examining research-based resources. And that becomes a real practice that you will learn as you have your intern training. We also respond to many inquiries by reminding the public of the best horticultural management practices. I'm sort of like Leslie in that I like to tell a little bit of story and personal things to make you feel like that you belong already. One of my favorite parts of being an Extension Master Gardener is meeting other people who care about the future of our natural world. Yes, those are my people. You will become close to others in your class through those on-site experiences and your intern project. Welcome that camaraderie because it's rich with amazing experience and amazing differences in your life and in the communities we serve. Second, you'll learn that one program interest, you might really want to learn about vegetable gardening, but you're going to find that one program interest or adventure is going to lead to another and to another and to another, things you never thought you would expect. And I, as a teacher, call that your brain root, so that your brain is rooting in the science of gardening, which I thought I would never, ever do. So you learn how critical the process of horticulture is, and to produce products that we take for granted, like food and beautiful flowers. My help desk story is that I came to Master Gardening with about as little experience as anybody you could possibly know. And as a teacher, I always prided myself on knowing my content. So I go to the help desk for my first training with limited knowledge and experience. And I decided that this was the most formidable experience that I had ever had. I mithered through it and realized that if I was going to become a useful volunteer, that I had to find some way of learning. And those 9 hours were probably one of the hardest things I have ever done, because learning usually came easily for me, but this was something entirely different. I was in awe of the trainers. I was in awe of, I call them the gods of gardening. I was in awe of Joyce Hilton, who is the lead, and you will meet her at some point. So in the last intern 3 hours that I was trained, I was very honest, and I told Joyce that I could never volunteer at the help desk if I became certified, because I was afraid that I would make mistakes. And, and teachers don't make mistakes. Yeah, I just didn't know enough. And Joyce said to me some words that I will never forget and will ever be grateful to her. She said, if you want to learn about gardening, volunteer at the help desk every week you can. You can do the research and become an expert. And the moral of that story is Joyce was right. And I've learned so much in the past 7 years. I do try to volunteer weekly, no matter where my adventures in Master Gardening go. And every time I volunteer, I never leave without learning something new. If you have the opportunity to embrace this program, go for all kinds of things, not just the things that you are already interested in. Challenge yourself to seek and serve our communities. It's going to break your brain, but then it's going to feed your soul. So I encourage you, if you're accepted to the program, to embrace all of that so you can make a big difference in our world.
Thank you so much, Anne. Next up, we have Ellen Parkhurst. And Ellen is a co-leader at our courthouse plant clinic, along with Paul Nunn. They have been running that clinic together for over a decade. Ellen completed her Master Gardener training in 1997 and has dedicated over 1,300 hours to our program. So Ellen, can you unmute yourself and join us?
Sure. I probably don't need to tell you very much, because basically you can think of plant clinics as little satellite help desks.
Yeah.
That we do some of the same things. You notice there are 5 different, 5 different clinics around the area. And I am at the Courthouse Farmers Market, as Leslie noted. But basically, we just try to answer questions that people have, and they can run the gamut. It could be house plants, it could be balcony gardening, it could be vegetables, it could be I bought a new house and what do I do about my lawn? Get a soil test is the easiest thing to tell them. So we just answer any questions that the public might have. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes they're easy. I mean, my favorite one is when somebody comes up and they hold out their hand and there's a dead leaf and they said, what's this plant and how did it die? So, we can't answer all those questions. Tell them, take a picture, bring a better sample or something like that. But we just try to interact with the community and help them answer their questions and get their gardening where they want it to be. And a great other thing we can do when people come and ask us for suggestions of what to plant is we can send them to the demonstration gardens and they can look at all sorts of things and find out what they really want to do. And you're never alone at a plant clinic. There's always at least one other certified master gardener there to help out. And we have some reference books, or computers are a wonderful thing now. Although the internet does bring us some problems. Somebody asked us last Saturday if, sometimes you have calcium deficiencies in tomatoes, and if they poured milk on their tomatoes, would that help with the calcium deficiency? Well, we've never heard of that. If you want to try it, you can, but I'd only do it on one tomato. But there are times we can't answer questions, so we send them to the help desk or on to Virginia Tech. It's fun to be at farmers markets. There's lots of good food to eat and there's lots of good camaraderie, and we just have a good time. So as Leslie said, we've been doing this maybe too long, but it is good fun. And as Ann says, you always learn something new, no matter what you're doing.
Thanks so much, Ellen. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Next up, I always like you guys to get an opportunity to hear from our recent trainees and grads. Tonight, we have 3 different people. I'll introduce them all and then we'll have them come on one at a time. So Evan Morrison was in our spring 2021 class. That was one of our first to pivot to a virtual format. And she completed her certification and has been a wonderful addition to our cadre of public education speakers and teaches specifically on the topic of houseplants. So if you're lucky, you will also get to go through Evan's class because she does a wonderful job. Richard Derbyshire is from our spring 2022 class, and he's completed his certification. He's a regular at our help desk and he volunteers at the Sunny and Shade Gardens. And I've been lucky enough to be working with him recently at some of our local schools. And last but not least, Ann Cusick is in our latest class, the fall of 2022. And so she is still right in the midst of her internship and just recently went through the classes, so she can provide a really fresh perspective on the joys and challenges of the training class and internship. So I'm going to turn it over first to Evan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evan. As Leslie just said, I was in the spring 21 class, which was the first all remote digital class. So my experience was a little different from what you guys are going to expect. But no matter how you become an MGNB, it's an incredible group to be a part of. A bit about how I became a master gardener. I have always had a passion for gardening and plants. It was one of my old soul traits, according to all of my friends. And so along with being interested in plants, I spend a lot of time reading and going down Google research rabbit holes, learning as much as I could about them. So as you can expect, becoming a master gardener had been on my radar. And lucky for me, gardening is trendy now. So all my friends who were calling me an old soul are now calling me for plant tips rather than making fun of me. But it turns out that my love for plants, reading, learning new things, were all critical to a successful internship. The great thing about the internship is that you can walk in the door, never picking up a shovel, never looking at a pack of seeds, and still get the same experience as someone who has a self-declared green thumb. As long as you're passionate about plants, soil, conservation, or something that falls under the vast gardening umbrella, you're going to thrive. Being truly interested in some of these things makes the reading and coursework actually enjoyable, which is necessary because I'm not going to lie, the textbook is a thick one. The only chapter that I trudged through, though, was the lawn and turf. And I can honestly say that I used it a few months ago to win an argument with my partner about why our sad patch of grass outside is dying. So that was fun. Threw it down on the table, it made a thud, and then I flipped to the page to prove my point. But I do promise all the reading classes, the internship required hours are possible, even with a full-time job. I do work full-time and I do a lot of freelance design work. So believe me, it's doable. You can do it too. Time management is key. And speaking of fitting all the internship hours in, meeting the demands from the outside looking in can seem daunting. I remember sitting through this PowerPoint presentation and thinking, wow, I don't know if I can fit all of that in, even if it was remote, but truly take the time to give every aspect of the demo gardens and the help desk a fair chance, because you're going to find the right volunteer opportunities that you enjoy, but also that fit into your schedule. Because of my day job, I now volunteer mostly writing articles for our website all about houseplants. So there's a lot of ways to contribute to the organization that don't require going every week and digging in the dirt if that doesn't work with your schedule. So growing houseplants, as Leslie mentioned, was actually the topic of my internship project. We built a PowerPoint and presented it, and it was a great time. You get paired up a lot of the times with another intern. So Becca and I made a seminar. It went over well, and now you guys will get to experience it in the fall. And I don't know if we're going to be there in person giving it. We haven't done that before. It's been digital every time, so that'll be new for us as well. Last year we did go in for a Q&A with the class in person, which was a lot of fun. Everyone brought in their sad houseplants. I got to figure out why they looked so bad. So luckily I did take the help desk training seriously, because then I got to do it last year to a live audience. And the most amazing part of the internship, which so many other people have already touched on, being part of this organization is the community, and you're joining that community. And as someone who moved to Virginia from out of state, it was a great way to meet friends. I expected to do all the reading. I expected the research. I expected pulling weeds in the summer heat, but I was really blown away by how wonderful all the members are. They're quick to help, answer questions, and they're just a fun group to be around. In fact, I'm getting married in April, and my internship project partner is going to be one of my bridesmaids. So while you're probably here because you want to learn about gardening and build on a new skill set or hobby, you're also going to gain a great community with people with shared interests. So I hope you all apply to join, even if it's something you choose to do in a later class. I'm happy to answer any of the questions you have in the chat. And more importantly, I can't wait to meet some of you this fall.
Thank you so much, Evan. Well, after we have Richard and Ann on, we will open up the floor to questions that are not being covered in the chat too. So, all right, Richard, you're up.
Hello, Richard Derbyshire here, spring class 2022. So I've been having a great time being a master gardener. I did my internship at Carlin Elementary School, helping a master gardener establish some garden beds at that elementary school. Today, we took 11 students down to the Glen Carlin Community Library garden, and where we had a plant name scavenger hunt. And then we also did study different parts of the plants, continuing on from my intern work. And Leslie and I were at the Williamsburg Middle School just on Wednesday, helping them get their garden started. So I also volunteer at the help desk. I try to do it just twice a month. And then I also go to the demonstration gardens just because it's a great work ethic. It's a great place to spend quality time, learn a whole lot. The first thing I figured out as a master gardener is that I thought I knew a lot about gardening. I know nothing. I got a lot to learn, and I have great people to learn from. This is a wonderful program. I support it wholeheartedly, and I think that it's going to have such positive impact to the greater community. I'm part of the conspiracy that is making the enlargement of the Sunny Garden, and that's been a great project as well. So I hope you enroll. I hope you get a chance to join us and get a chance to meet with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Richard. And we're going to finish off, last but not least, with Ann, who is still in the midst of her internship. So welcome, Ann.
As Leslie said, I was in last year's class, and I'm in my internship. I'm going to be giving a presentation that's geared toward kids on monarch butterfly migration patterns and that sort of thing. And I feel like I don't have that much new or different to add, because people have said already things that I would have said about community and all that you have to learn, that there is to learn, I should say, and the opportunities and experiences. And I guess I would say in particular, there is a lot to learn, but it's cumulative. So you don't have to have mastered everything at a certain point. It's a continual process. I mean, I moved around a bit in my life. I'm now living in a house where I have my 5th garden, and before it was always, I just sort of picked what I liked and tried to design it, the gardens that looked fairly nice or whatever. But the thing that I really appreciate about having involved in this program is that I've got structure now. I know so much more. I never thought about soil before. I wasn't that in tune to using native plants. And, you know, if I saw a plant that was looking chewed up or whatever, I'd sort of pull the leaves and poke it. But now I've only been doing this for whatever it is, 6 months or 9 months at this point. But I have learned so much more. And like I said, it's the structure of it all. And knowing that there's always people to ask about stuff. I never felt like I have to flounder on my own. And I've actually gotten involved, maybe a little bit on that cart before the horse, but I really like to bake and cook. And so I've become a member of the hospitality committee. And one thing that you'll find is, I think it's been mentioned before, is that people have so many different interests. There's book interests. There's a lot of knitters and crocheters, as I understand it, or people who sew and baking, cooking, and things like that. And so there's opportunities to find people who like to do things, other things that you do. And so it's not strictly all about gardening. And I'll just close by saying the chair of the hospitality committee told me once, and I think it's something I always remember, is that we only do fun. So don't feel like you're going to be deer in the headlights about this, because you'll enjoy it. It's it'll settle in and become clear as you move along. And like I said, you never let go.
Thanks so much, Anne. Okay, I think we got one more slide here. In case you guys have made it this far and not visited our website, I do want to direct you there. There's so many wonderful resources on the website. In fact, as Richard said, we were over at Williamsburg Middle School and the teachers were telling us, oh, we needed some information on native plants. And they went to Elaine's, tried to fact sheets, and there's just such good information on there. We have all of our recorded public education classes. So if you miss them, you can watch them at a time that works for you. So now I'm going to stop my share and we will open up for any questions that Kirsten has not been able to address in the chat box directly. So let me see if I can let you guys unmute. Hang on.
I think we're doing pretty well. I think one of
Okay.
the major questions was the timing of the trainings and the details about things like, lunch and preparation for training.
Okay. If anybody has a question that we haven't covered yet, please feel free to unmute yourself. I think you should be able to now, and just ask your question. Or if you cannot ask the question, let me know by putting it in the chat box.
There was a wonderful question from Kelsey about starting up a needed program down in South Fairfax County. And for those of you who live in other areas, it may not be very convenient for you to do volunteer work in Arlington County and the city of Alexandria. And for those of you who live in other places, I can put you in touch with the program leader in your county, and you can contact them. I put my contact information in the chat box, and I can do it again. Also, what Extension does, what the Master Gardener programs do so well, is they respond to local need. And if there's a local need, as Kelsey was pointing out, on the Richmond Highway in South Fairfax County, maybe there's a political and public will to do something about it. It's just a matter of bringing the right people together to be able to make that happen. The Master Gardeners have done that over and over and over again in so many ways, where they see a need and they work together to make it happen.
All right, folks, we'll conclude with that. You will be getting an email from me that has all the information you need to start your application process, and that should be out on Monday if it's not out by tomorrow evening. So we really appreciate you joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing your applications. It's always very exciting when we start meeting our incoming class members. We love that because we're just so lucky with that we see come through the program. So we hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you. Bye-bye.